He clearly has 1.2 trillion cash in hand, but he doesn't dare spend a single penny. And the root cause of all this turns out to be this small counterfeit bill detector in front of him. The billionaire inserts a stack of cash into the machine, and the machine immediately emits a sharp alarm. This is the reason why the police not only seized a large amount of counterfeit money from him, but even his men were successively arrested. This caused the cash he stored in his warehouse to instantly turn into worthless paper. However, solving this problem was not an easy task, until one day, one of his men pulled out a 500 rupee note. Although it looked a bit rough, it easily passed through the counterfeit detector. This scene stunned the billionaire, but at the same time, he saw a glimmer of hope. He knew that as long as he found the maker of this counterfeit bill, he could solve his current business crisis.
Who is he?
Some guy. People call him Artist.
So, the billionaire immediately sent people to bring John and his brother Philo to his territory. John was still puzzled about everything that had just happened. He didn't understand why these people were arresting them, but one thing he was sure of: these people were not to be trifled with. John was led into the villa by several strong men. One was a genius artist capable of making counterfeit money. The other was an underground kingpin controlling India's largest counterfeit money empire. These two stood at the pinnacle of the counterfeit money industry. At this moment, fate brought them together. After learning that the 500 rupee counterfeit bill came from John's hands, Mansur had his men bring over a counterfeit bill they made, and asked John what he thought of this bill. John hesitated a bit before taking the note. Carefully examining it, he first praised the quality of the paper, noting that the realism was very high. However, he quickly pointed out the fatal flaw in this counterfeit bill. Not only was the watermark problematic, but even the security thread was misaligned. The most serious issue was, the microtext was almost disastrous.
It doesn't need a computer. It needs an artist's touch. You know that a new machine will flag it. So should I try it?
Sure enough, just as John said, this counterfeit bill could not pass through the detector. John openly said that the bill was not bad. It just needed some improvements. Mansur, upon hearing this, began to have a deeper appreciation for John's abilities. He was convinced that with John on board, their counterfeit money empire would reach new heights. So Mansur started persuading John to collaborate. He had the best printing equipment in the world, and John had unparalleled manufacturing talent. If the two teamed up, they would dominate India's counterfeit money market. But John's first reaction was to refuse. He lied, claiming he had turned over a new leaf. However, Mansur seemed to see through his thoughts. He directly punctured John's reasons for refusal, pointing out that he couldn't bear to leave his grandfather. Yet, no matter how much Mansur persuaded, John still insisted on refusing to cooperate. Seeing this, Mansur changed his attitude.
I'll get you killed. I'll get your family killed. I'll burn your breast down. I'll screw your uncle and your nanu. I'll fuck them up, Penchud. I could have said all that. But did I?
Under Mansur's threats and temptations, John finally reluctantly agreed to collaborate. Soon, the two brothers packed their bags and headed to Mansur's base. Mansur revealed almost all his cards to John. Here, they had the best equipment, paper, and ink in the world. What John had to do was create a counterfeit bill that could pass the latest bill detectors on the market. Mansur's flagship product was the 2,000 rupee bill, and this bill was far more complex than the 500 rupee one. It included 17 different fonts and 14 different sizes. The smallest microtext measured only 0.03 millimeters. Even the world's most advanced industrial scanners would produce irremovable Morphe patterns when scanning these microtexts. But none of this was a challenge for John. Imitation and replication were his specialties. After countless attempts and failures, finally, they successfully created almost perfect counterfeit bills. Mansur looked at the counterfeit bill, and a satisfied smile spread across his face.
You are a real artist, yeah.
With the perfect template, the rest of the work was left to the printing machines for mass production. In fact, this counterfeit money, in a certain sense, was no longer counterfeit money but real money. Mansur's ambition grew. He planned to produce an unprecedented batch of counterfeit money, 12 trillion rupees, in just 2 months. The two brothers built him a mountain of gold. Next, they needed to figure out how to safely transport these huge amounts of counterfeit money back to India. However, they didn't know that Sheriff Mike and his task force had already set their sights on the transportation route of these counterfeit bills. Mike knew that with just his team's strength, it would be impossible to catch those massive convoys. So after getting approval from the congressman, he immediately contacted the special forces for backup. He knew that as long as they could catch Bilal, Mansur's most capable man, he would be confident that he could destroy Mansur's counterfeit empire in one blow. According to the informant's tip, Bilal was bringing a large amount of counterfeit money through the Indian border. Their plan was to set up an ambush on the road Bilal had to take. As expected, Bilal drove his convoy down that small road. However, just as they were about to enter the ambush zone, the usually cautious Bilal suddenly ordered the convoy to stop. He looked around suspiciously. He noticed that there were tire tracks ahead. Tracks that shouldn't have been there. They were left by military jeeps. Realizing something was wrong, Bilal quickly ordered the convoy to turn around, heading in another direction. Using satellite positioning, Mike saw Bilal's convoy fleeing. He was frantic, ignoring the Special Forces commander's advice. He personally led the pursuit. He knew this opportunity was rare. He couldn't afford to miss it. After receiving the orders, the Special Forces immediately abandoned the ambush and followed Mike in pursuit.